Alright, for this video, I'll be talking about absolute value equations. How do we solve absolute value equations? Well, this is what we use. This only works for a positive case, so make sure your k value is positive in order to use this condition right here. If you have an absolute value of ax plus b equals a positive number bigger than 0, then this equation right here is equivalent to ax plus b equals positive plus or minus k, meaning that ax plus b equals k, or ax plus b equals the negative of that k value. Now let's see an example here. Example 1, let's say we have absolute value of negative 6x minus 2 is equal to 4. So I have a very similar problem to this right here. This, if you have something like this, this can be written as two equations in this form right here. So that means this can be equal to a negative 6x minus 2 equals the positive 4, or the negative 6x minus 2 equal to the negative 4. That's what it means by plus or minus k. Now, the next step is basically they have a linear equation here. We know how to solve a linear equation. Try to solve for x. Do the inverse. So plus 2 to both sides. This cancels. We have a negative 6x equals positive 6. Inverse of multiplication is division, so divide by negative 6 to both sides for equality reason. X equals negative 1. That's one solution. And then over here, do the same thing. Plus 2, add straight down, you get a negative 6x. This cancels, equals negative 2. Inverse of multiplication is division. So we divide by negative 6. X equals negative divided by negative is positive, and 2 over 6 can be reduced to 1/3. So if your k value is positive bigger than 0, you're always going to end up with two solutions. And let's look at example 2. Let's suppose we have absolute value of 4x minus 5 plus 3 equals 2. So the absolute value part is not isolated because I have a plus 3 here. So we need to isolate that first. And to do that, do the opposite operation. Subtract 3 to all both sides. That cancels. Bring down the absolute value. Equals 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. Now remember, this only applies for a positive k. If it was a positive k, you can make two equations, but I have a negative k value here, and that tells me that the absolute value of any number is always positive. So you have a positive number equals a negative number. That can never happen. So this has no solution. And going down to example 3, if I have absolute value of x over 5 minus 5 equals negative 4. Now, I can't say this is a negative number right now because I have to isolate this first before I can say there is no solution. Let's isolate this and see if this still stays as a negative number. So to isolate, we have to get rid of the negative 5, plus 5 to both sides. That cancels. We have the absolute value of x over 5 equals, if you add this, you get a positive number. See how we changed from a negative into a positive when you isolate the absolute value. Now, because my k value is positive, I can say this is equal to x over 5 equals 1, or x over 5 equals negative 1. We just need to solve this to get the answers. Because I'm dividing by 5, inverse of division is multiplication, so multiply this by 5 and multiply that by 5. 5 times x is 5x, divided by 5 is 1x. So you get an x equals 5. Otherwise, this 5's cancel out. And then if I multiply this by 5, multiply that by 5, what happens is this 5 and this 5 crosses out. You get x equals negative 5 as an answer. So there's two answers for this problem. So every time your k value is positive, you're going to end up with two solutions. Remember that. Let's look at another problem. And that is problem number 4. What if we have an absolute value of 6x minus 3, subtract 3 equals 36? Alright, first thing is first, isolate the absolute value part. So that means get rid of this negative 3 here by adding 3 to both sides, and then add straight down. We get a 39 equals, this crosses out, absolute value of 6x minus 3 equals that positive number. My k value is positive, so I can say this is 6x minus 3 equals plus or minus 39. That's the definition of that first absolute value that we had. Now, this means that you can make two equations out of this. 6x minus 3 equals the positive 39, or the other equation is 6x minus 3 equals the negative 39, because it's equivalent to this. The rest is algebra. So plus 3 to solve for x cancels. This gives you a 42 equals 6x. Inverse of multiplication is division. 6 cancels over here. We're left with x equals 42 divided by 6. That's the number 7. And then let's do the same here. Plus 3. That cancels. 6x equals negative 39 plus 3 is a negative 36. Divide by 6. We get x equals negative 6. So again, my k value was positive 39. Because it's a positive bigger than 0, I get two answers. Let's look at example number 5. This one will be a little bit challenging. Negative 10 minus 6, absolute value of 2x minus 8 equals negative 82. Now, what do we do in this case? Well, we're gonna have to try to isolate this absolute value part first. So meaning get rid of the negative 10 first by doing plus 10 to both sides. And then we're left with a negative 6 absolute value of 2x minus 8 equals negative 72. Because I'm multiplying here, I have to do the inverse of that, which is division. So divide by a negative 6, divide by a negative 6. That will give you a 2x minus 8 equals 72 divided by 6, because negative divided by negative is positive, and this gives you a positive 12. And because this is positive bigger than 0, I should get 2 answers out of this. The 2 equations that we get is 2x minus 8 equals 12, or 2x minus 8 equals negative 12. Plus 8 plus 8, 2x equals 20. Now divide this by 2, divide that by 2, that should give you x equals 10 as your solution. So one of the solution is x equals 10. And then over here, plus 8 plus 8, 2x equals negative 4. Divide by 2, divide by 2, you get x equals negative 2.